Well, hey everybody, I'm Bill.
And I'm Elizabeth. Live simple.
Live free.
Right.
But just this morning, actually, I became aware of a release by the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, talking about the coronavirus. And they're saying some pretty serious things about it.
Well, and they put out a call that was just yesterday.
Right.
So this is very current, and it's actually from the CDC.
Right. So we wanted to talk about it and let you know what the CDC is now saying. Also, the Department of Health in Canada has also talked about this. So now we'll put a link down below so that you can hear the entire conversation with the CDC. I'm not going to get into all the detail that they talked about, but
we'll cover some of it.
Yeah, we'll cover some of it.
We'll also put a link down below for the one in Canada.
Right.
But
basically, the coronavirus has now spread into many countries, including South Korea, Japan, Iran, Italy, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Thailand, Singapore, and others that I couldn't write fast enough.
Yeah, they were going by pretty quickly. Yeah.
And it's only one step away from becoming a total pandemic.
Well, they said it's fulfilled 2 of the criteria already.
There's only one left.
There's only one criteria left. It's it's spreading. I guess from place to place. I forget. It fulfilled 2 things, and as soon as it's a little bit more widespread in the world, it's going to be officially considered a pandemic.
Right. One of the concerns was that cases are now being identified where there is no known source for that case.
Yeah. They don't know how it got there for sure.
So, and that's really scary. So, they were talking about what they call PI, which is pharmaceutical intervention, and basically said that there is no
they don't have a vaccine.
Vaccine, thank you. There's no vaccine.
And no cure treatment kind of a thing.
Right,
that
so
they have now.
there's nothing they can do along those lines. So really the only defense they have is what they call NPI, which is non-pharmaceutical intervention.
I wanted to say something before we get into that.
Okay.
And that's that, and you may already know about this, or certainly we want to give you resources, official ones, to get more information. But one of the things that's making this a little bit harder to catch, because the United States and Canada have put in stringent things into play to try to make sure that that doesn't enter into the countries. But one of the things, 2 things make it very difficult. One is that what is a 14-day incubation period?
No, it's more like 3 weeks.
3 weeks. Oh, goodness, excuse me. It's a long incubation period, like 3 weeks. And before you start showing symptoms at all, you're already contagious. And so if someone is coming into the country that's not showing any fever, no signs of illness, and there's nothing that flags them, they may not know they've been exposed and that they're in the incubation period. So that makes it difficult to exactly filter everybody out that could possibly be bringing it in. And another thing that they were saying that is kind of rough is that once a person's symptoms are over, and they think they're pretty much over it, they're still contagious.
Right. And
it is airborne. So that's why there's been communities where they don't know, in other countries, they don't know how it got there, because there's no way they can track for sure who it was that had the symptoms, didn't have symptoms that came into the area. So
let's talk a little bit about some of the NPI, non-pharmaceutical interventions that they were talking about on the CDC call. They're talking about things like closing schools and daycare centers. They're talking about, trying to get as many people to work from home as possible. They're talking about, in more severe cases, putting in quarantines for neighborhoods or even whole towns.
They're doing that in Italy.
Yeah,
they're having to.
They're doing that in Italy. I think it said 22 communities have been quarantined in Italy.
They're also, really wanting people to recognize that if they end up being around someone that later on has the coronavirus, then we should voluntarily stay quarantined in our own home with everybody that's in our home and not go back out.
Right.
Because that way, hopefully, that was one of the things that maybe would keep it from spreading so badly.
Right. So what she said on the call from the CDC, by the way, this was Dr. Nancy Messonnier, who is the the director of health at the CDC.
Well, she's the director of immunology and respiratory illnesses at
Okay.
the CDC.
Okay. But what she said was that disruptions to everyday life, now she was talking about the NPI,
Things that they have to do.
the non-pharmaceutical interventions, and she said disruptions to everyday life may be severe.
Right.
And, think about it, if you're in a community that is quarantined, they could say no one leaves your home. You can't go out on the street. You'll be arrested if you go out onto the street. That means you can't get to the grocery store. And that means if you get to the grocery store, it's probably stripped bare anyway.
Yeah, well,
So-
as soon as anybody in this country has to be quarantined and it gets out on the news, people are going to try to make sure that they're stocked up.
Right,
It's
right.
going to hit. It's going to hit fast.
If one development, one neighborhood, one town is quarantined and it hits the news, all the grocery stores nationwide and in Canada are going to be stripped within 24 hours.
Well, because people are very wisely at that point trying to
Because
make
if you
sure.
get if you get quarantined and you're not allowed to leave your house, you need to have food, and so there's going to be panic.
Well, and I think that people may be hoping that government will make sure you get the medical care or the medicine you need, even if you can't leave your home, that they'll bring you food, that there'll be packages or something. Well, I'd like to think that they could really try to do that, but if this gets very widespread at all, that's not going to be possible.
That could happen if it's just a couple of isolated communities,
Right.
where they'll deliver food to your front door and then back away before you come out and get it.
Yeah, that kind
But
of thing.
if it spreads very far, government just doesn't have the resources to do that kind of
Well,
thing.
we shouldn't expect that. That would be so widespread.
Especially in larger cities.
Right, large areas like that. Yeah.
So she was also talking about, when she said that disruptions may be severe, talking about missed income. If someone is quarantined for a couple of weeks and they miss their income, that could be severe, and if it's enough, if that happens enough, it could bring about a recession in this country.
Yeah, she's hoping a lot of people might be able to work from home. Maybe kids could do school from home. One thing she recommended was to start looking at possibilities now. Because, is there any way you could work from home?
Right. Right.
Something that really got to me, don't lose your place there, but she talked about going home and talking to her own family and telling them that, this could get kind of hard and, we're going to have to be really careful. I mean, she felt concerned enough that she's really trying to deal with this with her own family. They're starting now at this point to speak in ways that say, please take it seriously.
Yeah, one of the things she said very emphatically was the NPI in this country and the coronavirus outbreak pandemic in this country is no longer a matter of if. She said it's now a matter of when and how widespread.
Yeah, they don't know how extensive it'll be, how dangerous it would be, and how widespread, but they're almost positive that it's really eventually going to have to start getting through America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's sort of a synopsis of what she said on the CDC call. Like we said, we'll put a link down below here in our description, so you can go and listen to the whole thing. We don't want to be, sensationalist and fear-mongering
No, not
in
at
here.
all.
We're just trying to give you the facts, trying to give you what the governments of the United States and Canada are saying. So go listen to it yourself, draw your own conclusion.
If you look below our video, there's like what they call a description, and then you can see where we will give you links.
Right.
Sometimes people aren't sure where that is, but it's really just right below.
Yeah.
And you can look at the links there. So we want you to be able to go and hear what was said on that call from the CDC.
Now, that's an audio call, and the link will take you to a page where you can click on play, and then you can hear the whole thing.
Yeah.
Canada has also, the Canada Health Department has also weighed in on this, and let me show you an article about what Canada is saying about it. This is the Ottawa Citizen, and notice the date, February 26th, today. It says Canadians being told to prepare for a possible novel coronavirus pandemic. In a shift from the previous message, Chief Medical Officer of Health Dr. Theresa Tam acknowledged Monday that Canada may no longer be able to contain and limit the virus if it continues to spread around the world. She said governments, businesses, and individuals should prepare for an outbreak or pandemic. We are coming to similar conclusions, agreed Dr. Vera Etches, the City of Ottawa's top health officer, on Monday. It looks like it's going to be more and more difficult to contain this virus, and it may well evolve into a pandemic that would change the efforts to contain every last case and contact. And you can go ahead and read the rest of this article. I'll put the link down below so you can see it. So that's basically what the United States and the Canadian governments are both saying about the possible pandemic. And you know, for us, for Americans and for Canadians, we're all North Americans, right? The only thing that separates us from our Canadian friends is a line on a map.
Exactly.
So anything that's going to affect the United States is going to affect Canada. Anything that affects Canada is going to affect the United States. They can try to put in controls at the border, going both ways. But yeah, we're all in this together.
Well, and you know, even getting down into Mexico, and
yeah.
it's affecting countries all over the world.
Right.
So if you're not in Canada or in America, please find out what your government is saying, or just look at this and kind of see what the response has been here, just to start thinking about your situation too.
So, what do we do about this? Basically, we're not in a panic situation yet.
No, there's no need to panic.
But if it's announced that you know, developments or communities are starting to be quarantined, it will become a panic, especially in the grocery stores. So my advice to you is to start stocking up on food now before the panic starts and before the shelves are bare.
Yeah.
You know, if you've been following our advice as preppers, then you're already well stocked and it's not as much of a concern. But if you haven't been doing that, start now.
Just take whatever you can to try to make sure you've got some food ahead.
Yeah, try to get, you know, I don't have any idea how long this would last, whether we're talking a week or 3 months. I have no idea.
Yeah, before things would kind of run their course.
Try to stock up on as much food as you can. Try to stock up on as much medicine as you can.
Yeah, if you need medicine, see if you can go ahead and get some medicine ahead.
Go to your doctor and see if you can get some medicine ahead.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was just, you know, I know sometimes you can't get more until you've used a certain amount, but you might want to check with your doctor. And with us doing this move, it's actually turned out that right now I'm about 4 months ahead on medicine for me and for Pop.
Yeah.
I'm glad to have at least that much ahead. Do you have, you know, dog food and cat food or fish food? You know, just not that, well, you know what? I guess people aren't going to be, you know, emptying the stores of dog food, cat food, and fish food.
No, but if you're quarantined in your house, you're not allowed to go get it.
That could be, yeah. If they just don't want people out, then yeah, you might be really glad that you have the pet food around and things like that. Just think in terms of what if maybe for a little while you just weren't allowed to go to the store.
Yeah. So this could come to nothing, or it could be a major pandemic.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
It's been pretty awful in China. Yeah, we just don't know exactly what the outcome's going to be. There is enough concern that now we have our official government things saying that we need to start being prepared and start kind of thinking about this. So, and you know what? Anything that we do to be prepared is not a bad thing. You'll just have stuff you can use later.
Right.
You know, it's not a bad thing.
So, you know, like I said at the beginning, we don't want to be fearmongers here. We don't want to be sensational. We just want you to know what our governments are saying. And we want you to do your own research. You can listen. You can look at the links that we are providing for you, and I'm sure there's a lot more out there if you search around for it.
Yeah.
You listen to it. You research. You do your own. You make up your own mind as to whether this is a thing or not.
And what you want to try to do yourselves. Absolutely. Right. We just care about you guys, and we really wanted to at least let you know what we listened to from the CDC and then read from the Canada medical people. So. You know, want to make sure that's available to you so that you get a chance to find out about it as soon as possible. In fact, this was supposed to be our video on Friday.
Yeah.
You know, in other words, we do a video on Tuesday, you know, and then we wanted to have another one for Friday. But because this report just came out yesterday with the CDC, we feel like it's kind of timely. We're going to go ahead and release it right away.
The CDC was yesterday, the 25th, and the article about what Canada is saying was actually today, the 26th. So we want to get this out to you right away. So we're going to do Friday's video right now.
Right now, yeah. Yeah. So, you know, ultimately, we're just going to trust God, but we also want to make wise decisions about things that we could do so that we can take care of ourselves and others.
Right.
You know, so, yeah. Alrighty.
Well, I'm not sure how to end this.
Yeah. Listen, I just pray all of you do well, that you're going to be fine. Just everybody pray, really hard, and let's keep these other places in the world that are suffering in prayer too. Yeah. And we just wanted to be sure and let you know, because we're all in this together.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Live simple.
Live free.
Yeah.
Even in the midst of all of this, you be blessed.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we love you, and God loves you, and we'll see you later. Okay, bye-bye.
By the way, I was just about to post this video when I got an email from Thrive Life saying that just within the past couple of days, they've had a huge spike in sales because of the coronavirus. And they said that they are, some things are already out of stock, and they are scrambling to purchase new products and get everything back in stock again. This was very unexpected, and it's because of the coronavirus. So just kind of take that into account as you decide what you're going to do, in preparing for the coronavirus, because the run on the groceries has already started, at least if Thrive Life is any indication.